Chosen one. Pause for a moment. Heaven has taken notice. The stillness around you is not emptiness, it is divine attention. You've walked through valleys no one saw, carried weights no one helped you lift, and still whispered, "I trust you, Lord." That whisper reached the throne. Every tear you hid from the world was counted. Every act of restraint recorded in eternity's archive. You thought no one noticed when you chose forgiveness instead of revenge, when you prayed instead of retaliating, but the courts of heaven stood still to watch that moment. You didn't pass a test built by man, you passed a test designed by God. While others celebrated visible victories, you were being measured by invisible ones: purity, loyalty, integrity. You didn't just believe when blessings flowed, you believed when silence screamed louder than answers. Heaven watched as you waited without bitterness, served without applause, and gave without recognition. That chosen one is what impressed God. Listen carefully now. This moment isn't random. The reason you feel this message tugging at your soul is because heaven is confirming what your spirit already knows. You passed. You didn't even know you were in a divine examination. Yet your heart revealed who you truly are, a vessel that remains faithful under pressure. When people walked away, you stayed rooted. When doors shut, you kept praising. That was the test. God didn't measure your comfort. He measured your character. You are not forgotten. You were being watched. Not for judgment, but for elevation. Even angels marvel at your endurance. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 8, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." You didn't crumble when storms came. You stood still and believed. You kept loving, even when love was not returned. You held your peace when you could have fought back. That self-control was not weakness, it was royalty under restraint. Heaven applauds that kind of strength. God is not impressed by crowds. He is moved by hearts like yours. You've proven that faith isn't a performance but a posture. Every silent battle shaped your spirit into something unbreakable. The world calls it suffering, heaven calls it refining. You were tested in obscurity so you could be trusted in influence. Now, the same God who watched your tears will announce your triumph. Listen, this is not the end of your journey, this is the recognition phase. God is whispering, "Well done, my faithful one." He saw the night you almost gave up, the day you almost said, "Enough," and the moment you still chose hope. That's what set you apart. While others complained, you worshipped. While others doubted, you believed. You see, heaven doesn't grade on results, it measures response. And your response has been pure, humble, and full of faith. That's why angels are repositioning around your life right now. Shifts are happening that you cannot yet see. You are being prepared for a divine unveiling, where your hidden obedience will manifest as visible favor. Chosen one, don't let your heart grow weary now. The hardest parts are behind you. You are stepping into a new atmosphere where favor, peace, and divine authority will surround you like a mantle. God is impressed not by how perfect you were, but by how persistent you remained. Take this as a sign. The heavens have issued a new decree concerning your life. The waiting season is closing. God is about to prove publicly what He already decided privately, that your heart belongs fully to Him. Now lift your head. Straighten your shoulders. This is not the time to hide your light. This is the moment to rise. Your story is not one of defeat, but of divine validation. You didn't pass because you were strong. You passed because you refused to let go of the one who strengthens you. So let your praise rise higher tonight. Let your soul exhale in gratitude. You made it through what others couldn't survive. And heaven is applauding. You, beloved, are God's reminder to the world that endurance still moves the heart of the Father. If this word resonates with your spirit, like, share, and subscribe, so this message reaches other chosen ones like you. And before you scroll, comment the number 777 below as a prophetic act, a symbol of divine completion and spiritual confirmation that heaven's eyes have truly been upon you. Chosen one. There are moments when heaven designs tests you do not even recognize as tests. You call them delays, disappointments, and betrayals, but they are divine diagnostics, measuring the depth of your faith. You wondered why people you trusted turned away. Why doors that once opened suddenly shut. You thought it was punishment, but it was purification. God was not trying to break you. He was revealing what could not stay attached to your destiny. Every unanswered prayer, every season where silence replaced clarity, was orchestrated to expose the truth of your heart. He wanted to see if you loved him for who he is, not for what he gives. You thought you were fighting confusion, but in truth, heaven was studying your loyalty. God watched when you prayed and nothing moved. He saw you still bow your head, still whisper, "Your will be done." That was the test. The secret tests of heaven are never announced. They arrive wrapped in pain, cloaked in misunderstanding, disguised as loss. You never receive a notification that says, "Your trial begins now." No, God simply steps back to see whether you will still stand. The hardest part is that no one else around you sees it. You keep showing up, smiling through exhaustion, loving through rejection, forgiving through heartbreak, and all the while, the heavens are keeping score. The angels who minister to you have watched you choose humility over pride, restraint over retaliation, forgiveness over fury. You've passed through fiery places that tried to consume you, but instead of burning, you glowed. What they meant for your destruction became your distinction. There's a reason you didn't break. There's a reason you're still here. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 17, verse 3, the crucible for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord tests the heart. You have lived that truth. You've walked through the furnace and come out refined. When you didn't understand what God was doing, you still refused to curse his name. When you had every reason to harden your heart, you chose tenderness. That is not ordinary faith. That is the faith of the chosen. The secret test was never about your situation. It was about your soul. Would you still trust him when everything he promised seemed to vanish? Would you still believe when the evidence contradicted the prophecy? Heaven recorded your answer in every act of endurance. When you stayed silent instead of defending yourself, the heavens wrote, "Past." When you gave your last ounce of energy to encourage someone else while you were breaking inside, the heavens wrote, "Past." Endo, the world did not see the exam because it was not for them. It was between you and the one who formed you. God tested your heart, not to disqualify you, but to promote you. You see, before he entrusts someone with influence. He verifies the integrity of their motives before he places a crown upon your head. He must first purify the hands that will carry it. That's what this hidden testing season has been about. Remember the nights you cried asking, "Why me?" Those were sacred nights, not nights of punishment, but nights of preparation. You were being measured, not for what you could do, but for how you could love when life turned cruel. God saw you pray for those who betrayed you, bless those who cursed you, and stand firm when storms tried to bend you. That kind of heart is rare, and heaven treasures rarity. Chosen one. This is why God trusts you now with deeper things. You've proven that your faith isn't fragile. You've proven that you will stay even when he hides his face. You've proven that you love him more than outcomes. This kind of heart is the foundation for divine promotion. The next season of your life will carry weight and influence precisely because your heart stayed pure when tested. The secret test you didn't know you were in was also a sacred conversation between your spirit and God's. Every trial asked you one question: will you still love me? And every time you whispered, yes. Heaven responded with favor you have yet to see. There is power in your endurance. Every step you took in obedience created ripples in the spirit realm, disrupting the plans of darkness and confirming your authenticity before heaven. So now, as the dust of the testing season begins to settle, you may feel exhausted, but don't confuse exhaustion with emptiness. You are not empty, you are refined. You are not lost, you are aligned. The fire didn't take anything from you that you needed, it only removed what couldn't stay. Your hidden faith has passed, heaven's hidden test. Your loyalty has been proven genuine. The God who observed your midnight tears is now preparing daylight vindication. The very circumstances that once mocked your patience will soon magnify your testimony. Chosen one. There came a time when heaven seemed silent, when prayers hit the ceiling and fell back cold. You looked toward heaven and wondered, where are you, God? The miracles that once followed your footsteps paused. The clarity that once flowed turned to fog. And your soul whispered, has he left me? But listen carefully, God did not abandon you. He hid himself to reveal you. There are seasons when the Father's silence is not rejection but refinement, when he hides his face. He is watching your heart more closely than ever. It is easy to praise when blessings overflow, but heaven listens to what you say in drought. Your whispered, I still believe, carried more power than 1,000 sermons. When you kept showing up in prayer, even when you felt nothing, you were building spiritual muscle that cannot be faked. You may have thought you were being punished, but in truth, you were being purified. The silence of God is not the absence of love, it is the language of trust. When heaven hides, it is testing how deeply you are rooted. God doesn't speak less because he cares less. He speaks less because he is teaching you to recognize his presence without sound. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 13, verse 1. How long, Lord, will you forget me forever? How long will you hide your face from me? Even the psalmist, the man after God's own heart, walked through this silence. But the beauty of that chapter is not in the question, it's in the endurance that follows. David felt forgotten, but kept writing songs. He felt abandoned, but kept worshiping. You, chosen one, have done the same. That is why heaven calls you faithful. When God hid his face, he was not far. he was near enough to hear your sigh. You see, his silence is never stillness. While you thought nothing was happening, heaven was rearranging things in your favor. You were not forgotten, you were being watched. Every quiet prayer, every restrained reaction, every moment you stayed kind instead of cold, heaven recorded it all. You must understand, God's silence is strategic. It forces you to anchor in faith rather than emotion. It makes you reach deeper into the Word rather than into the world. He was shaping you for maturity, not comfort. The child in you wanted quick answers. The warrior in you learned to trust his nature even when his voice was missing. Sometimes, when God hides, he is actually standing behind the curtain, watching if you'll still perform your role when the audience disappears. And you did. You kept serving. You kept forgiving. You kept walking by faith, not by sight. That's why your silence season terrified hell, because you refused to stop believing even when heaven stopped explaining. Chosen one. The wilderness is not the end. It is the classroom of faith. God hides to teach you that his presence is not a feeling but a fact. He wanted you to graduate from emotional dependence into spiritual discernment. And now you have. You can sense him in the quiet, feel his pulse in the stillness, and recognize his fingerprints in the delay. That is spiritual maturity, the kind heaven crowns. The world saw you standing still, but heaven saw you standing strong. You didn't chase noise, you learned to rest in knowing. That's why you're dangerous now. Your faith no longer needs evidence to survive. You've walked with God long enough to know that silence is not goodbye, it's groundwork. And now, that hidden season is shifting. The God who once seemed distant is about to speak again, not in a whisper of uncertainty, but in a thunder of clarity. Your heart will recognize his voice because it was trained in the quiet. What once confused you will now confirm you. The same silence that broke you will now bless you. So, before this revelation settles into your spirit, make this prophetic declaration in the comments. I still trust. End of. Yes, type it boldly. It may look like a small phrase, but it's a covenant statement. You're telling heaven, even when I don't hear, I still believe. Even when I don't see, I still follow. Even when he hides, I still trust. And every time you write those words, you echo what heaven already knows. Your faith is alive. This is not the end of your story. The silence was the test before the voice returns. God is about to unveil the reason behind the quiet. And when he does, you'll realize he was never gone. He was grooming your greatness. Chosen one. The moment you crossed the threshold of obedience, the enemy took notice. You may not have seen it, but in the unseen realm, your yes sent shockwaves through darkness. Every time you refused to bow to fear, every time you spoke light into a shadowed room, hell trembled. The enemy does not waste energy on the lukewarm. He targets the ones who carry fire. You became a threat the day you decided to walk in truth. The battles that intensified weren't proof of God's absence. They were evidence of your advancement. The closer you got to purpose, the louder the resistance became. You weren't losing ground, you were gaining it. When the enemy couldn't stop your prayer, he tried to distract your focus. When he couldn't block your blessing, he tried to poison your peace. Every strange attack, every emotional wave, every sudden storm, it was the enemy's last attempt to break a spirit he could no longer control. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah, chapter 20, verse 11. "But the Lord is with me like a mighty warrior, so my persecutors will stumble and not prevail." That verse isn't just history, it's your reality. You've stood in the middle of unseen warfare, surrounded by pressure that didn't make sense. You've felt heaviness that wasn't yours to carry, confusion that came out of nowhere, people turning cold without reason. It was spiritual interference, a last-ditch effort from the adversary to make you question your worth and your calling. But what he didn't realize is that your endurance became your weapon. Every time you refused to react in bitterness, you declared war against darkness. Hell is strategic. It studies your patterns, identifies your weaknesses, and attacks through whatever once worked before. But now, you've grown wise. You can sense manipulation before it fully forms. You can feel when something dark tries to pull your emotions off balance. That discernment didn't come by accident. It came from surviving the war. You've learned the rhythm of resistance. You've learned that not every conflict deserves your attention, that not every voice deserves your response. The enemy tried to provoke you into disobedience because he couldn't disqualify you himself. He hoped you would self-sabotage under pressure, but you didn't. You held your ground when chaos tried to seduce you into reaction. You stayed silent when gossip circled your name. You kept faith when doubt whispered louder. Heaven calls that victory. Chosen one. You need to understand. The warfare intensified not because you were weak, but because you were about to step into dominion. Before any promotion, the enemy always launches confusion. It's a desperate tactic. He senses the shift before you see it. The tension you've been feeling is proof of the breakthrough that's about to manifest. Think back to the moments when everything felt unstable, the unexpected rejection, the sudden betrayal, the strange fatigue. Those weren't coincidences, they were counterattacks. You had reached the border of a new spiritual territory, and the enemy tried to scare you off. But you didn't run. You prayed. You endured. You stayed. And now, because of that, the atmosphere has begun to change. Heaven has already declared that no weapon formed against you will succeed. That doesn't mean weapons won't form. It means they won't finish. Every curse spoken over you is turning into confirmation. Every attack that was supposed to destroy your peace is becoming proof of your anointing. You see, the devil does not attack what is empty. He attacks what carries potential. You have become a fortress of light. Where you once reacted in emotion, you now respond in authority. You've stopped explaining yourself to people who can't understand divine warfare. You've stopped apologizing for being chosen. You've stopped shrinking to fit environments that were never meant to hold your magnitude. This is growth, born from warfare. The enemy's last attempt failed. The schemes, the manipulations, the distractions, they've all lost their power. The same traps that once caught you now serve as reminders of your discernment. You are no longer prey. You are the proof that grace wins. Every snare of darkness that tried to pull you down became a step upward. Alisson, a weapon forged in endurance. Chosen one. The storm was not a sign of defeat, but a sign of your significance. Hell doesn't send armies after those who are irrelevant. You are dangerous to darkness because your worship remains sincere, your heart remains pure, and your obedience remains intact. The more he tried to wound you, the deeper you pressed into God. That persistence broke strongholds. You have already outlasted the enemy's best. What's left is the unraveling of his final illusions. God has already written the end of this battle. You win. The same fire that was meant to consume you refined you. The same betrayal that tried to break you freed you from dependency on people. The same fear that haunted you taught you to roar in faith. Chosen one. What you did in secret shook realms. You may not realize it, but your quiet obedience became a thunder in heaven. Every time you resisted the urge to retaliate, you disarmed darkness. Every time you blessed someone who wronged you, you released light into the unseen world. You thought you were just surviving, but heaven calls it reigning. Imagine this: a seed buried beneath the soil. No one applauds its struggle in the dark. No one watches as it cracks open, surrendering its comfort for transformation. Yet, deep beneath the surface, something holy happens. Life begins. That's you. While others celebrated the visible, heaven celebrated the invisible. The garden of God grows in secret. You've been sprouting roots while the world thought you were buried. The unseen moments, the nights of restraint, the mornings of prayer, the quiet forgiveness were not wasted. They were seeds of righteousness, planted in tears but destined to bloom in joy. You didn't need to announce your faithfulness. Heaven recorded every act. You passed through fire without bitterness, through rejection without revenge. Those choices are the incense that fills God's throne room, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the book of Galatians, chapter 6, verse 9, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." That verse is breathing over your life now. Your unseen obedience has activated unseen harvests. You thought no one saw you, but God did, and He was impressed. You see, the kingdom of heaven doesn't measure greatness by crowds or applause. It measures it by consistency in obscurity. While you were quietly faithful, others sought validation. While you were walking humbly, others were chasing platforms. But heaven chose you because your heart stayed steady. You've proven that faithfulness is not a performance, it's a rhythm of the soul. Think of a lighthouse standing by the sea. The storms crash, the waves rise, the fog thickens, but the light doesn't flicker. It simply keeps shining, not for recognition, but for rescue. That's you, chosen one. You have become a living lighthouse. People may never know the nights you cried while still encouraging others, but heaven knows. You've become a beacon for the lost, even while walking through your own storm. And now, the Father whispers to you, "Well done." Your quiet obedience has reached heaven's ears like a melody of trust. Every silent yes, every unseen act of surrender has built a bridge between your heart and His throne. The realm of darkness has nothing to counter that kind of loyalty. It collapses under the weight of love that keeps believing. So take a breath. Feel the weight lift. You've been faithful in small things, and God is preparing you for greater things, not because of perfection, but because of purity. The light that you've carried in secret is about to become visible. The fragrance of your obedience is drawing new favor, new doors, and new beginnings. Chosen one. This message finds you at the threshold of transition. What has been hidden will soon be honored. But before you step forward, take a moment to share light with someone else. Just as the seed breaks open to feed others, so your story feeds those who are still in the dark. When you like this message, it's not for numbers, it's a ripple of agreement saying, Yes, Lord, I receive this truth. When you share it, you plant hope in someone else's soil. When you subscribe, you choose to stay close to the well of living words that keep your spirit alive. Every small act of engagement becomes an echo of your faith. You're not promoting a channel, you're joining a movement of light. A wave of chosen ones, awakening to who they really are. Think of it as lighting candles in a dark hall. Each click spreads the glow further. Someone waiting in despair might find this message because of your simple act of kindness. That's how heaven multiplies impact, not through fame, but through faithfulness. The same way you've obeyed quietly, continue to spread quietly. Heaven works through the humble, through those who simply say yes again and again. Your obedience online mirrors your obedience in life. It becomes ministry. It becomes message. It becomes miracle. Chosen one. Never underestimate how powerful your quiet acts are. Heaven saw you choose peace over pride, grace over gossip, prayer over panic. That's what shook realms. You've become living proof that holiness still carries power, that faithfulness still changes atmospheres. And now, as you breathe this truth in, let it anchor deep in your heart. Nothing done in love is ever wasted. Your unseen obedience has already written visible miracles into your future. The seed has cracked. The soil has shifted. A new life is rising. Keep shining. Quiet one. Keep believing. Gentle warrior. Heaven saw it all, and heaven is impressed. Chosen one. Heaven has spoken. The verdict is in. You passed. Every tear, every silent act of obedience, every night you kept your heart pure. When bitterness tried to grow, heaven witnessed it all. You have been weighed, not in the balance of men, but in the measure of divine truth, and you have been found faithful. There's something sacred about the moment God says, "Enough testing. You have proven true." You may have thought your life was standing still, but behind the veil, angels were writing your name in the registry of endurance. God did not test you to expose your weakness. He tested you to reveal your worth. You've been refined. And now, He calls you ready. Your faith has been tried by fire and emerged as gold. The doubts that once plagued you no longer have the same hold. The wounds that once defined you have become evidence of grace. Heaven is not merely aware of your pain, it is impressed by your perseverance. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now the Father leans forward, smiling over you. The tests were never about perfection, they were about proving love. Love that stays, even when it hurts. Love that trusts, even when it cannot trace. You didn't just survive the fire, you reflected the refiner. The flames that tried to consume you only made you shine brighter. Can you feel it? That shift in the atmosphere around you? It's not imagination, it's heaven, repositioning everything in alignment with your obedience. The clouds are parting, not because the storm is ending, but because your authority over storms has increased. You no longer wait for peace to come, you carry it wherever you go. This is what "you passed" means. In heaven's language, it means new assignments, new influence, new favor. It means God now trusts you with what He couldn't give you before. Had He blessed you earlier, the blessing might have distracted you. But now, your eyes are single, your heart is anchored, and your faith is unshakable. You've proven that your loyalty is not for sale. Chosen one. Pause and let that truth wash over you. God is impressed with your heart, not because it's perfect, but because it's pure. He saw you love without recognition, forgive without apology, and serve without reward. Those moments carried the fragrance of Christ himself. Heaven celebrates that kind of heart. It's the kind that changes atmospheres, heals wounds, and breaks chains. You're entering a season where what was hidden will be honored. The tests you endured in private are about to bear public fruit. The people who doubted you will witness your divine vindication, not as revenge, but as revelation. God is about to make your story a sermon. Your endurance will become evidence that grace works. But don't rush this next phase. Move with reverence. Stay humble. The crown is not given to decorate pride, but to glorify obedience. You're not being elevated to be seen, you're being positioned to serve. You've passed, not just for yourself, but for those who will one day need your wisdom. Look around. You'll notice subtle confirmations, peace where there was chaos, favor in unexpected places, clarity replacing confusion. That's heaven's way of whispering, well done. The tests are ending, but the purpose is beginning. And now, chosen one. As a prophetic act of agreement, leave this declaration below. Comment the number 444. This isn't superstition, it's symbolism. The number 4, repeated 3 times, represents stability, divine alignment, and the establishment of foundation. It's heaven's way of saying, what was shaken will now stand firm. When you write that number, you're declaring, I am established in God's will. My test is over. My season of stability begins. End of teen. Type it with conviction. Not as ritual, but as revelation. Every keystroke echoes faith. Every number written becomes a seal over your journey. Heaven honors prophetic acts when they flow from sincere hearts. You didn't stumble into this word by chance. You were drawn because heaven wanted to confirm what your spirit already sensed. You made it. You passed. The fire didn't consume you. It crowned you. The storm didn't drown you. It disciplined you. The silence didn't break you. It built you. So now, lift your eyes. The same God who tested you is about to trust you. The wilderness is behind you, and the promise is ahead. Walk with quiet confidence, knowing that heaven's applause still echoes through eternity every time your name is spoken. Chosen one. What looked like loss was never meant to destroy you. It was heaven's strategy for promotion. You saw things crumble that you prayed would last. You watched doors close that once carried your dreams. And you thought, this can't be the plan. But it was. God's methods are not always gentle, yet they are always good. What felt like breaking was actually rearranging. The collapse wasn't punishment, it was preparation for the next elevation. You see, when heaven promotes, it does so by subtraction before addition. God removes what can't rise with you, detaches what cannot survive in higher altitudes. The losses that wounded you were actually weights being lifted off. The pruning was proof of potential. You were never being punished, you were being positioned. Heaven's arithmetic is strange. It multiplies by dividing and adds through surrender. When you lost what you thought was essential, you gained what was eternal. That job, that relationship, That season, it all served its purpose. But you outgrew it, and heaven knew staying would shrink you. So, God, in His mercy, allowed the shaking. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Those words echo through your story. You wanted to fight for what was leaving, but heaven said, "Be still." You tried to hold what was fading, but grace whispered, "Let go." And now, in hindsight, you see it. The very things you lost were never yours to keep. They were assignments, not destiny. Chosen one. You are standing in the aftermath of divine promotion. It didn't arrive wrapped in applause. It came disguised as pain. You didn't step into it through comfort, but through surrender. Every time you said, "Lord, even this I give to you," heaven recorded it as obedience. You have walked through one of the hardest transitions of your life, yet you are still standing, still glowing, still chosen. Promotion in heaven's language is not about titles, it's about trust. You have been entrusted with new authority because you stayed faithful with little. The shift you feel right now is real. It's the sound of chains falling and new doors unlocking. The ground beneath your feet has changed. Even if your surroundings haven't caught up yet, God is rewriting your rhythm. Where there was striving, there will now be flow. Where there was confusion, there will now be clarity. The same storm that stripped you has also strengthened you. You are emerging lighter, wiser, and more spiritually alert. Promotion often comes dressed as contradiction. God said, "Go higher," then allowed circumstances to drag you lower. But that descent was not defeat, it was strategy. Like an archer pulling back the bow before release. God drew you backward so He could propel you forward. Every delay became distance gained. Every disappointment became depth formed. Now, you are being launched into the next season with precision and purpose. Chosen one. You've outgrown the shallow waters. The river of your calling is deepening. The grace upon your life is expanding, not just for personal blessing, but for global impact. Your voice will carry weight because it was shaped in suffering. Your compassion will heal others because it was forged in pain. Your discernment will save lives because it was trained in silence. Heavenly promotion isn't a reward, it's a responsibility. And God would never entrust it to someone who hasn't learned humility through hardship. That's why He chose you. You didn't become bitter. You didn't retaliate. You didn't curse what broke you. Instead, you surrendered. And in that surrender, heaven found maturity. Now, the time of hidden preparation is transitioning into manifestation. The people who walked away will soon wonder how you survived. The ones who misunderstood you will witness what God was building in secret. You will not need to defend yourself. Your fruit will speak. The growth will be undeniable. And even those who doubted you will be forced to admit, the hand of God is upon this one. So rest in this truth. Your promotion is not coming, it's begun. You are already standing in it. You may not see all the evidence yet, but the shift is underway. Heaven has moved pieces on your behalf, aligning opportunities, opening doors, and summoning resources. What once resisted you will now recognize you. Chosen one. Not everyone can wear the mantle of the tested. It is not made of fine fabric or stitched in gold. It is woven from tears, forged in silence, and scented with endurance. Those who wear it carry something unshakable within them, a quiet authority that only comes from surviving fire. You didn't ask for this weight, but heaven trusted you with it. And now, that mantle rests upon your shoulders. The journey you've walked has not been ordinary. Many have prayed for your anointing, but few could survive the process that produced it. You were not simply refined, you were remade. The trials that came against you weren't random, they were the spinning wheel that shaped your spiritual garment. Every thread of that mantle tells a story of perseverance. Every stitch carries the echo of, "Nevertheless, I will trust you, Lord." And you are walking proof that crushed things carry fragrance. The olive must be pressed to release oil. The incense must be burned to release aroma. You were pressed, not to punish, but to pour. Heaven knew that your pain would produce purity, that your endurance would release power. The mantle of the tested is not given, it's grown through obedience. We are reminded through the writings of James, chapter 1, verse 12. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. You have stood. You didn't stand perfectly, but you stood faithfully. When you could have run, you remained. When you could have spoken in anger, you chose silence. When you could have retaliated, you forgave. Heaven saw each moment of surrender and began tailoring this mantle upon your soul. Chosen one. This mantle is not just symbolic, it carries weight in the spiritual realm. When you speak now, heaven listens differently. When you pray, the atmosphere shifts more quickly. When you walk into a room, darkness recognizes authority and withdraws. You carry the scent of survival, the aroma of one who has overcome. The authority you hold was not purchased with applause, but with pain, transformed into power. The mantle of the tested carries discernment. It allows you to see through pretenses, to recognize the difference between opportunity and trap, between flattery and divine favor. You no longer fall for imitation light, because you've seen the real one in the darkest places. You no longer chase validation, because heaven's approval has already sealed your heart. This mantle also carries compassion. You now move differently among the broken, because you know what brokenness feels like. You don't just quote comfort, you embody it. People will begin to find healing simply by being near you, not because of eloquent words, but because the peace you carry is real. You've become a vessel of calm in a chaotic world, a reminder that grace still works. But remember this, with the mantle comes responsibility. Heaven didn't clothe you to make you admired, but to make you available. This mantle is not a trophy, it's a tool. It doesn't call for pride, but for posture, for bending lower, for serving deeper. You are not just called to carry light, you are called to become it. You'll notice now that you can no longer fit into certain circles. The mantle you wear makes some people uncomfortable, not because of arrogance, but because light exposes what hides. Don't shrink to make others feel safe in their shadows. Keep shining, even softly. Those meant to walk with you will adjust to the radiance. Chosen one. The weight you feel upon your spirit lately isn't exhaustion, it's the mantle settling. It's heaven's way of reminding you that you've stepped into a new level of responsibility. You can't move the same way you used to, can't speak as loosely, can't respond as impulsively. When heaven clothes you, it consecrates you. You belong to a different rhythm now. Don't fear the weight. The same God who placed it on you will help you carry it. What once broke you now builds others through you. What once silenced you now gives authority to your words. You've become a living scroll. Your life reads like a testimony of divine endurance. So, walk gently, but confidently. You're clothed with something sacred. The mantle of the tested is heaven's highest honor because it signifies trust. God doesn't clothe those he doesn't trust. He saw that your love remained steady under pressure. Your worship remained pure under fire. And your faith remained alive under silence. That's why you wear this now. Chosen one. Wear it with humility, but never with shame. It's not the mark of one who merely survived. It's the mark of one who was chosen to reveal God's strength through human weakness. You've become a vessel carrying the weight of heaven's glory. Not for display, but for destiny. Chosen one. Something is shifting around you. You might not see it fully yet, but the spiritual atmosphere has changed. Heaven's recognition has been declared, and now creation itself begins to respond. What once resisted you now yields. What once felt heavy begins to lighten. The mantle upon your life has adjusted the frequencies around you. You carry an anointing that commands environments to listen. There was a time when you walked into rooms and felt invisible. You wondered if your prayers made any difference, if your presence mattered at all. But now, even without saying a word, the air bends differently when you arrive. That's not arrogance, it's alignment. You've been authorized by heaven to shift atmospheres, to release peace where there was tension, to carry clarity where confusion ruled. The ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 8, verse 31, declare, if God is for us, who can be against us? That's not just a comfort, it's a decree. Every force that once tried to hinder you now finds itself powerless before the favor resting on you. Your light has grown brighter, and darkness has no choice but to retreat. This is not because of your strength, but because your obedience has amplified heaven's strength through you. Chosen one. You are not just surviving anymore, you are governing. You've entered a new level of spiritual authority. That's why the people around you respond differently. Some are drawn to your peace, others are unsettled by it. The Holy Spirit within you confronts what is false around you. Don't take it personally, take it as confirmation. Heaven's frequency is fine-tuning through you. There's a holy stillness that follows those who walk closely with God. It's not loud, not showy, but it carries weight. When you speak, words linger. When you pray, walls tremble. Even when you stay silent, things begin to align. That's what the shift feels like. It's heaven moving through your stillness, establishing divine order where there once was chaos. Do you remember the times you begged God to move? Now, He moves through you. You prayed for change, and now you are the change. Your hands have become instruments of healing. Your presence, a sanctuary for weary souls. Heaven doesn't just visit you anymore, it abides in you. But with new authority comes new awareness. You're seeing things differently now, patterns, motives, energies. You notice when peace leaves a room, when tension rises, when something feels spiritually off. That's not anxiety, that's discernment. Heaven is training your senses to govern atmospheres. You're learning when to speak, when to pray, and when to simply stand still and let the glory do the work. chosen one. Understand this. The shift in the spirit realm didn't happen to you. It happened through you. Every moment of obedience has been building this momentum. Each test, each tear, each act of forgiveness expanded your spiritual capacity. The authority you carry now wasn't handed to you overnight. It was earned through surrender. And now, heaven expects you to walk with awareness. You don't belong to chaos anymore. You belong to command. When fear tries to enter, your peace pushes it back. When confusion rises, your wisdom dissolves it. You are not reacting to the world. You are reshaping it. That's what it means to walk as a chosen vessel. The world will begin to notice subtle things. Conversations that used to drain you will now shift toward hope. Environments that once oppressed you will now be transformed by your presence. You are the thermostat, not the thermometer. You don't adjust to the room adjusts to you. Chosen one, heaven trusts you to carry this new power gently. Authority without humility is noise, but authority rooted in love becomes transformation. Don't use this shift to prove anything. Use it to heal. Let your presence be a refuge, your words be rivers, and your silence be a shield. And now, as you feel this truth resonate within you, I want you to make a simple declaration in the comments. I stand ready. Oh, yes, write it. Not as a phrase, but as a covenant. When you type those words, you're saying to heaven, I am aware, I am available, I am aligned. You're acknowledging that you've crossed a threshold, that you are no longer waiting for permission. You've already been commissioned. Your readiness isn't about perfection, it's about posture. It means you'll respond to God's whisper without hesitation. It means your hands are open, your heart is pure, and your spirit is alert. You are ready to move when He says, move. To speak when He says, speak. To stay when He says, stay. This shift is real. You've entered a new dimension of spiritual maturity. Heaven has entrusted you with what few can carry: authority tempered by compassion, power wrapped in peace. You are heaven's representative on earth, and the realms know it. So walk lightly, but walk boldly. Speak softly, but speak with weight. The heavens have shifted, and you, beloved, chosen one, are the evidence of that change. Chosen one. When heaven entrusts you with new assignments, it's not because of what you can do, it's because of who you've become. You've been tested, refined, and proven. God saw how you handled the silence, how you responded under pressure, how you remained faithful when no one clapped. And now, He can trust you with more. But here is the mystery. The higher He lifts you, the gentler He asks you to walk. New assignments don't always look like crowns. Sometimes they look like towels. God promotes His people not to be seen but to serve. Think of Jesus. He had all authority, yet He knelt to wash dusty feet. In the same way, your next season may look humble, but it carries heaven's highest honor. You are being sent into places where light has dimmed, into hearts that have forgotten hope, into rooms where peace has been evicted. You are not just carrying blessings, you are carrying balance. Heaven is reordering through you. Your presence will realign what's broken, not through might, but through gentleness. That's why God trusts you, because power in your hands doesn't become pride, it becomes purpose. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, Chapter 15, verse 16. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit, fruit that will last. That verse is your commissioning letter. Heaven's signature is already upon your life. You didn't stumble into purpose. You were chosen for it before time began. And the fruit you're about to bear will not fade with seasons, it will remain. Chosen one. As you step into these new assignments, you'll notice the world around you shift. God may call you to places that don't look spiritual at all. A workplace, a conversation, a neighborhood, but you'll carry divine presence there. You are the candle in the corridor, the whisper of peace in a stormed mind. Sometimes, your calling won't look like ministry, it will look like kindness. Sometimes, your altar won't be in a church, it'll be at a coffee table, at a bedside, in the middle of an ordinary day. Don't underestimate small moments. Heaven hides greatness in simplicity. A single word you speak could stop someone's despair. A quiet prayer whispered over someone could alter their destiny. That's how heaven works, subtle but seismic. Think of yourself as a lantern carried by the wind of God. You don't decide where to shine. You simply stay lit wherever He places you. When the wind blows, go with it. When the night feels thick, glow anyway. That's obedience. That's assignment. And while you walk this new road, remember this truth: God never sends you empty-handed. The experiences that once broke you are now tools in your hands. The pain you survived is now medicine for others. The wisdom you've gained in the valley will guide those still walking through darkness. What you carry is not just knowledge, it's healing wrapped in humanity. Chosen one. When you look back one day, you'll realize every loss was a lesson, every test was a teaching, and every tear watered the ground for this harvest. You are not stepping into something foreign, you are stepping into what you were born for. Now, as this word settles into your spirit, pause, breathe, let gratitude fill you. And if this message has stirred something deep within you, I invite you gently, sincerely to like this message, not as a formality, but as a sign of agreement. Each click is like planting a flag in your spirit, saying, "Yes, Lord, I receive this calling." When you share, think of it as sowing seeds. There's someone out there walking through the same silence you once did, waiting for a whisper of hope. Your simple act could deliver this word right into their wilderness. And when you subscribe, it isn't about following a page, it's about staying close to the well, so that each message waters the soil of your faith, keeping your flame from dimming. You're not supporting a platform, you're sustaining a flow of light. Like streams feeding a tree, your small act keeps the roots of this divine conversation alive. Heaven often moves through humble gestures, and sometimes a click, a share, a whisper of yes becomes a bridge for someone else's breakthrough. Your new assignment is not about titles or recognition, it's about carrying presence wherever you go. Whether you speak to thousands or comfort one, heaven sees it the same. Because for God, the measure is not in numbers, but in obedience. So go, chosen one. Where He sends you, speak gently but with conviction. Love fiercely but without expectation. You are not entering a new chapter, you are stepping into the continuation of His eternal plan through your life. Every act of love is a sermon. Every word of truth is a torch. And every person you touch with kindness is a reflection of heaven's light shining through you. Chosen one. There is a moment in every divine story when the hidden reward begins to surface. You've waited through long nights, questioned through silent seasons, and kept your faith when everything around you screamed, "It's over." But heaven never forgets obedience. What was delayed is not denied, it was merely developing. The things you thought slipped away were actually maturing behind the scenes, waiting for the appointed time. There is a timing to everything under heaven. Seeds don't sprout the moment they're planted. They first take root in darkness. You've been underground buried, not forgotten. Heaven has been watering your roots with unseen grace. And now, the soil begins to shift. Something sacred is pushing through the surface. This is the unveiling. The rewards of heaven are not always gold or glory. Sometimes they come as peace that can't be shaken, strength that doesn't break, or relationships restored beyond logic. The blessings coming your way are not just outcomes, they are proofs that your endurance was not in vain. As the prophet wrote in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, though it tarry. Wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not delay." Chosen one. Heaven works by appointments, not approximations. Every moment of your waiting has been synchronized with divine timing. While you were asking, "When?" heaven was answering, "Soon." The reward is not random, it's righteous. It arrives precisely when your heart is ready to carry it with humility instead of pride. You see, sometimes God delays blessings not to deprive you, but to protect you. Had they arrived earlier, they might have crushed you under the weight of immaturity. But now, you've been strengthened. You've learned to handle abundance with gratitude, authority with gentleness, and visibility with humility. The very waiting that frustrated you has become the foundation that will keep you steady in overflow. The unveiling that's about to happen will be gentle yet undeniable. You won't need to prove yourself or announce it. The evidence will speak. People who once doubted your calling will see what God was shaping all along. The doors that wouldn't open will now swing freely, not because you forced them, but because heaven unlocked them. The rewards will appear in layers. Some will be visible new opportunities, divine connexion, unexpected provision. Others will be internal peace that surpasses understanding, discernment that shields you, joy that remains even when circumstances shift. Heaven never gives halfway. When God rewards, it restores entirely. Chosen one. Remember, God doesn't pay in human currency. He rewards with moments of transformation that alter your destiny forever. The job, the relationship, the platform, those are surface blessings. The real reward is the person you became while waiting. You've learned what love really means, what trust truly costs, and what faith genuinely feels like. You've become unshakable not because you avoided pain, but because you embraced purpose through it. You are now stepping into a season where what was promised will meet what was prepared. The waiting built capacity, the reward will fill it. Heaven does not release what you can't sustain. And now that your heart is anchored, the flow can begin. Do you feel it? That quiet sense of anticipation in your spirit, that's not anxiety. That's awakening. You're sensing what your soul already knows. The time is near. The doors of destiny are creaking open. You've been faithful in obscurity. Now heaven is about to reveal why. When the unveiling happens, it won't come with chaos, but with calm. You won't have to chase it. It will recognize you. The reward you thought you were pursuing has actually been pursuing you. Divine favor doesn't need your hustle. It needs your readiness. And here's the deeper mystery. The unveiling is not just for you, it's through you. Others will see your rise and remember that God still keeps promises. Your life will become a signpost pointing weary travelers toward faith again. You are not just receiving blessings, you are becoming evidence. Chosen one. When your rewards appear, walk softly. The same humility that carried you through the valley must guide you on the mountaintop. Never forget who sustained you when no one applauded. Keep your gratitude loud and your pride silent. Let every success become another song of, God did this. And when people ask how you made it, don't explain witness. Tell them about the waiting, the weeping, and the unwavering love that never let you go. Let them see that behind every reward is a Redeemer. So now, breathe deeply. The long night is fading, and morning's light is breaking through. The blessings that once felt delayed are aligning with your destiny. The harvest that took years to grow is finally ready, and as heaven unveils it, you'll realize every second of waiting was worth it. Chosen one. Heaven celebrates not your perfection, but your compassion. It wasn't your flawless record that impressed God, it was your merciful heart when life gave you reasons to turn cold. When others hardened, you stayed soft. When others cursed, you prayed. When others closed their hands, you opened yours. That's what caught heaven's attention. Your heart became a mirror, reflecting the nature of the Father himself. Every act of kindness, every moment you chose empathy over ego, was noticed. You may have thought no one saw the times you gave when you had little, forgave when you were wronged, or encouraged when you were empty. But the courts of heaven recorded every gesture. God values compassion because it looks like him. You've carried his heart through your scars, and that is what makes you rare. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 15, verse 10. Give generously to them, and do so without a grudging heart. Then, because of this, the Lord your God will bless you in all your work, and in everything you put your hand to. You are entering a season of divine return. The kindness you extended without expectation will now return multiplied. The love you offered freely will circle back in ways you won't expect. People you once helped will speak your name in rooms you've never entered. Doors will open, not because of strategy, but because of sincerity. The pure in heart always draw divine favor. Compassion is heaven's currency. It builds bridges where walls once stood, heals wounds no medicine can touch, and restores dignity where shame once reigned. You've practiced it without agenda, and now God is about to use your tenderness as a weapon against despair in others. Where you once wept, you will now wipe tears. Where you once longed for comfort, you will now become comfort itself. This is why your heart has been stretched so deeply, because God is enlarging it to hold more people, more love, more a purpose. He's shaping you into a vessel that can carry hope to those who have lost it. The pain you've endured was the preparation for the empathy you now embody. You understand brokenness because you've lived it. You carry compassion because you've needed it. Chosen one. Don't underestimate what your heart carries. The world is starved for authenticity, and your compassion will speak louder than sermons. When you walk into a room, people will sense peace before you even speak. That's not coincidence, That's spiritual authority clothed in gentleness. Heaven's power wrapped in kindness. The reward for compassion is not just what you receive, it's who you become. Each act of mercy chisels your soul closer to the likeness of Christ. That's why you feel things so deeply, why you cry easily, why injustice disturbs you. It's not weakness, it's calling. You've been chosen to feel what heaven feels. You are a carrier of divine empathy. And through you, others will experience what the love of God truly looks like. But here's the beauty. Your compassion will not leave you empty. God is refilling you even now. The tears that once fell in secret are turning into rain for new growth. Your own heart is being healed by the same grace you extended to others. This is reciprocity from heaven, love returning to its source. So, as a prophetic act of agreement with heaven's reward, comment the number 222 below. That number represents double portion and divine partnership. It symbolizes God restoring balance and bringing back what compassion once seemed to cost you. When you write that number, you are declaring, I believe love still wins. I believe mercy still multiplies. Now, type it not out of routine, but revelation. Each digit becomes a declaration that your kindness has not been forgotten. Heaven's math always multiplies what you give from the heart. You may have poured out for years, but now heaven pours back. And when that restoration arrives, it will come softly, like spring rain over parched ground. Relationships once strained will find peace again. Doors once shut will reopen with ease. Your environment will respond to the compassion you carry. Because love always calls love back home. Chosen one. Keep walking with tenderness. The world may see gentleness as weakness, but heaven crowns it as strength. The light in your eyes, the warmth in your words, the quiet strength in your presence, they are all reflections of the King's nature within you. And remember, God doesn't just reward what you do, He rewards how you do it. You have chosen love when hate was easier, patience when anger was justified, giving when withholding seemed safer. That's what marks you as one of heaven's own. Now, your harvest draws near. The seeds of compassion you scattered in tears are about to bloom in favor and joy. Every tear watered a blessing. Every act of mercy summoned a miracle. You have loved like heaven loves, and heaven always repays in full. Chosen one. The season you are walking into is wrapped in favor. Not the kind of favor that fades with applause, but the kind that endures, the favor that comes from being known by heaven. You have been marked, not by luck or coincidence, but by divine recognition. When others stepped ahead through connections, you waited for God's timing, and now His timing has found you. Favor is heaven's endorsement. It is not earned, it is entrusted. It follows those whose hearts are found faithful when no one was watching. It covers those who choose truth, even when lies seem easier. That is why it rests upon you now. God saw your restraint when provoked, your generosity when unseen, and your worship when weary. Those moments did not vanish into the air. They became incense, rising before the throne. It was written in the book of Psalms, chapter 5, verse 12. For you, Lord, will bless the righteous. With favor, you will surround them as with a shield. The favor coming upon you is not just for personal blessing, it's for divine assignment. God never gives favor to inflate ego. He gives it to extend reach. You will walk into places you never thought possible, not because of your effort, but because of your endurance. Your character has become the currency heaven can trust. That's why the doors are opening now. This kind of favor doesn't just bless, it protects. It will shield you from wrong connections, hidden traps, and unseen sabotage. People may try to plot against you, but the favor of God will make every scheme fall flat. Like oil on water, you will rise above what was meant to drown you. The more resistance you face, the stronger the current of grace will carry you. Remember Joseph, the dreamer who went from pit to palace. His favor didn't protect him from hardship, it carried him through it. Every betrayal, every misunderstanding, every false accusation became a stepping stone. That's the kind of favor resting on you now. It doesn't exempt you from trials, it ensures that trials work for you, not against you. You'll notice subtle signs of this shift. Things that used to be difficult will start to flow. What was once delayed will suddenly accelerate. Even people who once ignored you will begin to recognize your value. But guard your heart. Favor will attract attention, both pure and impure. Stay rooted in humility. Remember, the same grace that lifts you is the grace that sustains you. This favor also brings visibility, and with visibility comes responsibility. You can't move as casually as before. Eyes are watching. Hearts are learning from you. Even when you're unaware, the way you carry favor will become a model for others. Don't wear it as armor against people, but as light for them. Let it shine without arrogance. Let your humility interpret your honor. And when new opportunities arise, ask yourself not, does this make me look successful? But, does this make me useful for God's plan? That question will keep your steps pure. Because favor that glorifies self will fade. Favor that glorifies God will multiply. Chosen one. The favor over your life will cause alignment to find you. Relationships that lift rather than drain. Opportunities that match your anointing. Peace that surpasses logic. You'll begin to move with a quiet confidence, not because you have it all figured out, but because you trust the one who directs your path. There's a sweetness in walking with God when favor flows. You don't need to fight for recognition anymore. The same God who vindicated you in private will now validate you in public. Your name is being whispered in divine conversations you haven't heard yet. Heaven is arranging introductions and intersections that will carry you further than effort ever could. But even as favor increases, never forget your foundation. Stay kind, stay teachable, stay surrender. Because favor is not a destination, it's a demonstration of divine partnership. The more God can trust your heart, the more He will extend your reach. You are entering a season where divine favor will not just follow you, it will announce you. Rooms will prepare before you arrive. Hearts will open before you speak. And all of it will point back to the same truth. You are marked, not for status, but for service. Chosen one. Wear this favor like a fragrance, subtle, sacred, unmistakable. Let it remind you that heaven's eyes are still on you, still guiding you, still smiling upon your obedience. Chosen one. When heaven promotes you, it's not only to bless you, it's to reveal something new through you. The favor you now carry is not an end in itself, it is a key. Through it, God is introducing a new strategy into the earth, one that flows through obedience rather than ambition, through compassion rather than control. You are not just favored, You are commissioned. Heaven is preparing to work through you. Not just for you. The strategies of God rarely make sense to human logic. They are often quiet, woven in whispers, unfolding through small acts of faithfulness. When God wants to shift a nation, He doesn't always send an army. Sometimes He sends a single heart willing to listen. That heart is yours. What you've endured has positioned you to hear the frequencies others ignore. The noise of the world no longer drowns the voice of the Spirit within you. As the Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 9, "No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has conceived what God has prepared for those who love Him." You are walking in that mystery now. Heaven's new strategy doesn't come as a blueprint, it comes as a burden. You'll feel divine nudges to move, to speak, to build, to create in ways that seem unorthodox. Don't resist the unfamiliar. The next phase of your calling won't fit the patterns of your past. What used to work will no longer sustain. You're stepping into a realm that requires trust more than talent, surrender more than strategy. You'll begin to sense divine ideas forming in your spirit, innovations, solutions, words, or works that carry heaven's signature. These are not coincidences. They are downloads from eternity. Write them down. Pray over them. Move on them when peace confirms. God's strategies often look like small beginnings, but they carry exponential impact. What starts as a whisper in your prayer time can become a wave that transforms lives. Heaven's new strategy through you will not just bring blessings, it will break systems. You will challenge patterns of fear, chains of limitation, and lies that kept generations bound. Your very life will testify that God's way still works, that purity, patience, and persistence are still power. You won't need to shout to be heard. Your fruit will speak louder than words. Chosen one. Understand that this season requires deeper discernment. Not every opportunity that comes is heaven's invitation. Some will glitter but lack grace. Others will seem small but carry eternal significance. Ask the Spirit before you act. Heaven's path often comes wrapped in humility. The stage you're being called to might look different than you imagined. It might be a family, a project, a cause, a calling, but it will hold weight. This divine strategy will also draw people to you, those searching for authenticity, those hungry for truth. Don't be surprised when souls begin to confide in you, when strangers find comfort in your words, when broken hearts heal simply because you listened. That's part of the plan. Heaven's new strategy moves through hearts, not hierarchies. You're not just part of a ministry, you are the ministry. Every battle you faced was training for this assignment. The delays, the detours, the disappointments, all of it sharpened your discernment. You now carry both softness and strength, grace and grit, patience and power. You are heaven's paradox, gentle enough to heal, fierce enough to confront darkness. The earth needs that balance now more than ever. This strategy is also generational. You're not just living for yourself, you're laying foundation for others. Your obedience will make someone else's journey smoother. Your breakthrough will become another's blueprint. The legacy God is writing through you will ripple far beyond your lifetime. What you birth in this season will outlive you because it carries eternal DNA. Chosen one. Don't be afraid of the weight you feel. It's not pressure, it's purpose. God is entrusting you with revelation meant to reform hearts. The world has seen religion. Now it will see relationship. It has seen talent. Now it will see transformation. Through you, heaven will remind humanity what divine alignment looks like. The beauty of this strategy is that it doesn't rely on perfection. It relies on partnership. God isn't asking you to perform, He's asking you to participate. Every step of obedience becomes part of His unfolding plan. Every prayer, every act of faith, every word spoken in love contributes to the grand tapestry He's weaving across the earth. And as you walk in this new rhythm, remember, you are not following a map, you are following a voice. That voice will lead you beside still waters, through unfamiliar paths, and into divine outcomes that exceed imagination. You are the vessel, but the strategy is His. Walk humbly, listen closely, and move boldly. Heaven's blueprint is unfolding through your obedience. Chosen one. With every elevation comes new exposure. The brighter your light shines, the more eyes it attracts, some drawn by warmth, others by curiosity, and a few by envy. But don't let that discourage you. Every diamond glitters under both admiration and pressure. You've stepped into a realm where your presence carries weight, and with it comes a call: guard your glory. You see, glory is not yours to boast in, it's yours to steward. It's like holding a flame in the wind. If you cup it too tightly, you suffocate it. If you wave it carelessly, you risk losing it. But if you hold it with steady hands and reverent heart, the flame not only stays alive, it grows brighter. That's your task now. The light you carry is sacred. Protect it, but don't heed it. We find in the book of Philippians, chapter 2, verse 3, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. That's the key to guarding your glory: humility. Pride drains light faster than darkness does. Stay low, even when lifted high. Remember the soil that once held your tears. It's the same ground now, nurturing your fruit. Never let the applause of men drown the whisper of God. Chosen one. The higher you rise, the quieter you must become inside. Let stillness anchor you. Glory is safest in the hands of the grounded. Continue to draw near to God in secret. Even when your life becomes visible to many, let prayer be your breathing and gratitude your posture. Those who kneel in private stand firm in public. And as this light in you continues to spread, know that it's not just for show, it's for sharing. Like the sun rising over the ocean, your glow touches waves far beyond your sight. Someone, somewhere, may find hope just by hearing your story, seeing your peace, or reading your words. That's the power of divine influence. It works quietly but travels endlessly. So, if this message resonates with your spirit, I invite you gently, sincerely to like it. Think of that simple gesture not as approval, but as a way of saying, I receive this light. When you share it, imagine yourself passing a candle to another hand in the dark. Each share extends the reach of heaven's warmth, carrying comfort into someone else's cold place. And when you subscribe, it's more than a click. It's a covenant to stay connected to the flow of messages heaven keeps pouring out. This isn't about building numbers, it's about building nearness. You're part of something bigger, a network of light bearers scattered across the world, each shining where they stand. Every act of engagement becomes a ripple of faith, spreading further than algorithms can measure. And while you're here, leave a comment, something from your spirit. Even a single sentence that testifies to what this word stirred in you. Words have power, and yours might be the one that strengthens another soul scrolling in silence. Maybe it's a phrase like, "I choose to shine," or "My heart stays humble." Whatever flows from you will carry life. You are not here by accident. This connection between heaven's message and your heart is divine timing. God speaks to his chosen ones through reminders like this to steady them when success threatens to shake them. The glory on your life isn't just favor, it's responsibility. Guard it with wisdom. Feed it with gratitude. Protect it through purity. The same humility that drew God's hand toward you will keep his hand upon you. Let your success be a sermon that whispers, "It's all him." Let your words point upward, not inward. Chosen one. The enemy can't steal your anointing, but he will try to distort your motives. Stay anchored in worship. Remember, oil spoils when handled with pride, but multiplies when poured out in service. Keep serving, even as doors open. Keep forgiving, even as you're honored. Keep loving, even when misunderstood. That's how you remain untouchable, by choosing character over comfort, purpose over platform. The flame you carry will guide others home. Let it burn without arrogance, without fear, without compromise. Every time you shine, darkness loses ground. You're not just a name, you're a light post pointing hearts back to grace. And as you walk this delicate line between glory and humility, may every heartbeat echo your mission to honor the one who trusted you with light. So go on, chosen one, shine, serve, stay. Heaven is watching, the earth is waiting, and your story is still unfolding. Chosen one, the time has come for manifestation. The things that once existed only as promises, prayers, and dreams are beginning to take form. You have walked through the proving ground of faith, and now you stand at the threshold of fulfillment. Heaven is no longer whispering soon, it is declaring now. The earth itself begins to recognize what heaven already decided about you long ago. You are about to see your story transform into testimony. The very moments that once embarrassed you will become the evidence of divine deliverance. God has not just rewritten your ending, he has redefined your beginning. You are not the person who walked into the storm, you are the one who emerged from it crowned with purpose. The ancient words recorded in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1. Proclaim, arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. That is the banner over this season of your life. You are no longer hidden, no longer waiting in the shadows of preparation. The light that was forming inside you is now breaking outward. The same way dawn pushes back the horizon, your destiny is now pushing into view. Everything that once tried to bury you will now testify that you were planted, not forgotten, chosen one. The earth will know your name, not for fame, but for faith. Your life will stand as living proof that perseverance still produces promise. Every valley you crossed, every wound you endured, every tear you shed, they are now the foundation upon which God will build something immortal. Your survival was not random, it was rehearsal for revelation. But as you step into this new visibility, remember, Revelation attracts both reverence and resistance. The same light that guides the lost also exposes the pretenders. Not everyone will celebrate your rise. Some will misunderstand your humility as weakness. Others will mistake your favor for fortune. But do not explain yourself. Just keep shining. Light never argues with darkness. It simply shines until darkness surrenders. This unveiling will also bring divine connections, people ordained to walk with you in purpose. Some will come to pour into you, others for you to pour into. Discern the difference. The new relationships in your life are not coincidences, they are alignments. Each one carries a piece of the puzzle that leads to your greater assignment. You'll also notice how old environments no longer feel the same. That's because you've outgrown them. Grace has graduated you. The conversations that once fascinated you now feel shallow. The distractions that once enticed you now feel empty. Don't mourn the distance. Celebrate the transformation. Growth always requires letting go. Chosen one. Your name will begin to travel into places your feet haven't yet walked. Heaven is announcing your arrival ahead of you. Like ripples expanding from a single drop, your influence will spread farther than your intention. The things you've spoken in private prayer will begin to manifest in public space. Prophecies whispered in isolation will now unfold in demonstration, yet even in manifestation. Remember the lesson of the waiting season. The goal was never recognition, but revelation. The true miracle is not that others will see you, it's that they'll see God through you. Every success, every platform, every blessing is an opportunity to reflect His nature. The same humility that kept you in the valley must now guide you on the mountain. Do not let this rise change your essence. Stay soft. Stay surrendered. Stay aware. Glory can be heavy if carried with pride, but light when carried with gratitude. Keep returning to your source daily. Speak less of what you've achieved and more of what He's done. The favor on your life will remain fresh only when humility waters it. You are about to witness a divine reversal. The same areas of life that once mocked your faith will now magnify your victory. The ones who doubted your process will need your prayers. The storms that were sent to drown, you will now serve as testimonies of grace. Every wound will become a window for light. Chosen one. This is what all the silence, all the testing, all the waiting was for, to bring you to this moment of unveiling. You were never being delayed, you were being developed. Now, as heaven opens this chapter, walk with reverence. Let your success be steady, your heart be pure, and your focus remain singular. And as the world begins to know your name, may your spirit whisper the same truth it learned in the dark. It was never me, it was always Him. Chosen one. The test is over. The verdict has been rendered. And it is love. Heaven has seen your faith, heard your prayers, and measured your endurance. You have been found faithful. The season of proving has turned into a season of peace. The refining fire has done its work. What remains is gold. You are now standing in the sunlight of divine approval. The quiet glow that follows a long storm. Everything you've walked through was not for destruction, but for definition. God was never trying to break you. He was teaching you who you are. The suffering stripped away illusions until only truth remained, your identity, your calling, your worth. Now that you see yourself through heaven's eyes, you can never again be deceived by shadows. As was spoken in the book of Revelation, Chapter 3, Verse 8, Z. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. That is the Father's final declaration over you. The door before you is not just opportunity, it's inheritance. It cannot be closed by jealousy, fear, or circumstance. It stands open because heaven decreed it so. You've kept his word even when silence surrounded you. You've carried his name even when the world misunderstood you. That's why the door remains open. Chosen one. The journey that once felt endless has led you here to still waters, to restoration, to reward. You've crossed from being the tested to being the trusted. The Father looks upon you, not with the eyes of inspection, but with the gaze of affection. You have become his evidence in the earth, living proof that obedience still moves his heart. This peace you feel now is not emptiness, it's completion. The battles that once raged so fiercely have quieted because they served their purpose. The enemy no longer has permission to exhaust you. Your authority has matured past his tactics. You no longer react to darkness. You command light. That's what victory feels like, not noise. But knowing you are entering a chapter where joy won't need to be forced. It will flow naturally, like rivers from within. The laughter you thought you'd lost will return, but deeper, this time less about circumstance, more about confidence. You've learned that peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the presence of understanding. You understand now that God was never distant, just deliberate. He hid his face for a moment, only to reveal his heart forever. The Father smiles over you. That's not metaphor, it's movement in the unseen. The atmosphere around your life carries approval. The storms that once howled now bow. The angels assigned to you rejoice. Their mission succeeded. They guarded you when you almost quit, whispered strength when you thought it was over. And now they stand at attention, celebrating your completion. Chosen one. The tests are behind you, but the testimony continues. The lessons you've learned will now become the language of your influence. When you speak, people will feel peace, not because of eloquence, but because your words will carry heaven's echo. You'll find yourself guiding others effortlessly, not as a teacher above them, but as one who understands from experience. That is what true authority sounds like. Empathy baptized in wisdom. Don't be surprised if tears come often now, not from pain, but from awe. You'll catch glimpses of grace in ordinary things, the way sunlight touches a window, the way laughter fills a room, the way quiet feels like worship. These are heaven's gentle reminders that the battle is over, that you made it, that the test produced something eternal inside you. Chosen one. Never again doubt your worth. God is impressed with your heart, not because you were flawless, but because you were faithful. You stayed when others left. You believed when evidence vanished. You forgave when wounds were fresh. That's what makes you chosen. That's why heaven calls you mine. Oh, now live differently. Move slower. Speak softer. Love deeper. You no longer need to prove yourself. You only need to be yourself. The version refined by grace and clothed in glory. The world will see strength, but heaven will see surrender. And as you walk forward through the open door, remember the lesson of every season before it. Trust is the truest form of worship. Keep trusting, not because of fear, but because you've tasted faithfulness and found it flawless. This is not the end, it's the unveiling of who you were always meant to be. You are no longer striving for God's approval. You're walking in it. You're not waiting for love. You're surrounded by it. The test was never about proving your worth. It was about revealing His. So breathe. Beloved, the journey has led you home. The Father's smile is upon you, and His words echo still. You have kept my word. You have not denied my name. And now, the door stands open. And welcome to your peace. Welcome to your purpose. Welcome to the reward of the faithful heart. Chosen one. The message is complete, but the journey continues. You have walked through 17 chapters of Revelation, each one a mirror, each one a seed. Heaven has been speaking to your spirit, layer by layer, restoring what the world tried to take. Now, as this final silence settles, let peace become your rhythm. Let gratitude become your language. Remember, all that was promised is already within you. The same hand that guided you through fire now guides you through favor. You no longer chase purpose. It flows from you effortlessly. Take time to rest. You've carried heavy truths, fought invisible wars, and held faith when nothing made sense. Rest is not laziness, it's worship. In stillness, God refills what battle drained. The oil that once dripped in testing now overflows in triumph. As you move forward, keep your heart uncluttered. Don't carry yesterday's weight into tomorrow's grace. The people meant to walk with you will recognize the light upon you. Those who can't handle it were never assigned to it. Forgive freely. Love deeply. Serve quietly. And know that heaven watches with delight. Whenever you forget who you are, return to these words. They are not just narration, they are mirrors of your identity. You are chosen, tested, refined, trusted, and crowned. You carry heaven's fragrance in an earthly frame. The world may still tremble, but you will not. You've been through too much to doubt now. Walk in peace. Radiant one, the Father's eyes follow your every step, and His whisper remains, I am pleased. Your test became testimony. Your pain became prophecy. Your endurance became evidence. You are the chosen one, and heaven is proud.